Eric here with Team Eccentric, and I'm bringing you guys my MERMAIL Atlantean deck list as of February 2018. Everybody knows this is my favorite deck. I love this deck with every fiber of my being. I love the playstyle, the combo strings, the way this deck facilitates OTKs. I just love everything about this deck. Plus, I feel like it is pretty decent meta call, just being able to take cards out of your opponent's hand with the Moon Glacier, as well as being able to create Toads then and thereafter. I just feel like this deck is great. However, I did bring this deck to a local, and I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do. I didn't lose every single match, but I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do. I think partially because of some of my card choices. And on top of that, this is actually the list that I was supposed to be bringing to the Michigan Regional in Garden City. Unfortunately, that regional was canceled due to outlying variables. So we will be attending a regional in the near future, and I will be actually updating this list for that. I will be also bringing you guys the side deck that I used for the local, as well as some interesting card choices that I may consider for the future in order to kind of update my build and change it a little more, just so we can update it and make it a little bit better. But nonetheless, let's get into this profile. We're going to start off with the main deck as always. We are going to start off with the Atlanteans. We're playing Triple Prince. Obviously, Prince is the heart and soul of the deck. This is the bread and butter of this deck. You cannot play this deck without it. We're playing double goons. Obviously, I mean, I can't wait for this card to come to 3. Honestly, it should have come to 3 by now, in my personal opinion. But we're playing double marksman and double heavy infantry as the final tool pieces to the Atlantean toolbox. One thing I will say I noticed throughout the tournament, essentially, whenever I would summon Prince, if I did not have a discard outlet in my hand, so let's say for example a Teus or a Megalo and a second water, if I sent the goons to add the other goons to my hand, and they ashed this goons and I didn't have a discard outlet, there wasn't much I could do. However, if I had a Teus in my hand alongside the second goons that I added, their Ash Blossom almost was made irrelevant. So, but that's it for the Atlantean lineup. Now we're getting into the Mermails. So obviously we're playing the Triple Megalo. This is the big guy of the deck. You OTK with this guy almost any time you resolve him. Being able to search a spell or trap is somewhat relevant. However, I've even been considering cutting the spell. I play Abyssal and Mizuchi, you'll see later in the build. Honestly, most of the time, whenever I resolve Megalo, I usually either at least did a lot of damage or OTK'd. Just the fact that this guy puts that as much damage on the board that he does makes him optimal at 3 in my personal opinion. Plus the fact that he discards 2 waters relative to 1, allows you to go off with a lot of plays if you involve Gund in his cost. So next, I played the Triple Teus. Teus is one of the best Mermails. Just being able to search a level 4 or lower Mermail, namely Gund, or even Pike if you're going along certain combo strings, is optimal as all hell. Plus this in a Dragoons is an instant +1. It's really, really good. So for the small Mermails, we are playing double Abyss Gund. Gund being the pseudo monster reborn for Mermails is just amazing. Just being able to ditch this and like a Pike off of a Megalo's cost is just combo intensive and just combo centric as all hell. For the last 2 Mermails, I played 1 Pike and 1 Turge. I noticed that I didn't really like the Turge too much. I mean, it did loop Gund once or twice in this rank 4 combo that I did. Along with Pike, like if you can organize your chain links properly, these two with a Gund can loop the Gund and make a rank 4 play, which is actually somewhat cool, but it's very niche and very situational. And that being said, I will be showing you guys kind of a different option over this that I'm considering playing, a little bit more of a disruptive option, because that's one thing I did notice about this deck, is that aside from the frog, the toads, and some of your extra deck stuff, which sometimes is not always accessible due to the fact that people kind of call you out and play D-barrier against the toad. There aren't too many disruptive cards you can play. But that being said, moving on, we're actually playing the Frog Engine in this build. Honestly, the Frog Engine in my opinion, is better now than it was before the Link era, namely because of the fact that this allows you to get into more links, as well as the fact that just creating a Toad turn 1 in our current state of the game is honestly very advantageous. I don't play the Dupe Frog. I don't personally want to play the Dupe Frog because as much as Dupe Frog is a good card for frogs, it's not a good card for just generally any other water decks you're playing the Frog engine in. It's just not optimal. You don't want to draw into it. I mean, all it's going to do is search you a Swap Frog, which I guess inherently isn't bad, but given that this deck is trying to establish a board and then OTK then and thereafter, drawing the Dupe Frog does not help you. So moving on, for the rest of the waters, we play 1 Moon and 1 Diva. That's it. I am siding 1 Gamma Seal. You will see in the side deck. I don't really see a need for Gamma Seal other than True Draco. And even though it's only 1 Gamma Seal, I mean, this deck makes Miss Starboy and has the Equip spell, and I'm also playing a card in the extra deck that increases monsters' attack points by 1,000. So that being said, it just I didn't see a need for Gamma Seal. However, that may change with my update to this list, which when I get to a regional, I will showcase to you guys. So moving on, I played 3 hand traps in the main deck in the form of 3 Ash. I finally have a playset of Ash Blossoms. This card is amazing. This is definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's so good. It's not good against it's not very optimal against the Pendulum Magician matchup, but that's why you side these out and you side on Ogres. So moving on, that's the monster lineup, guys. Now we're getting into the spell lineup. I played triple Moray of Greed to unbrick my hands. I didn't really feel like 3 of them is the best decision. I may honestly cut 1 and just play 2. I played triple Forbidden Chalice. Now this I know is, again, same thing. The reason why I play the 3 Chalice is because turn 1 Dweller is way too difficult to get over. So if you just Chalice the Dweller, if you hard draw the Chalice going second, and your opponent has a turn 1 Dweller, or even turn 1 Calamities, you can just Chalice it. Plus Chalice baits out a lot of other cards. Granted, it doesn't necessarily bait out hand traps, which is unfortunate, but we're getting that Called by the Grave spell that's supposed to be coming out soon, and that I can't wait for so that I can stop everybody's Ash Blossoms. After that, for the 1-up spells, I played 1 Abyssgale Mizuchi, 1 for 1, 1 Soul Charge, and 1 Monster Reborn. This lineup, honestly, is pretty decent. I cut the Regeki because of reasons you will see in a moment. However, Monster Reborn and Soul Charge combined, with these 3 spells, honestly, are like the power plays of this deck. So if you 1 for 1 of your cards and you have these in your hand, you special summon Prince, Goons. You send Goons to add Goons, you Monster Reborn the Goons, you can Soul Charge later on in your combo string. It's pretty crazy, the combos and the loops that you can do in this deck. The ceiling for this deck is, at this point, still very high. I just feel like maybe some of my card choices could have been better. Now for the last 2 cards in the main deck, we are playing 2 Evenly Matched. I need 1 more copy. If I can get 1 more copy, I would probably cut the Chalice down to 2. Because Evenly Matched is just really, really decent for going second. And worst case scenario, I can always just side these out depending upon the matchup. I felt the need to side these out mainly against some of my matchups. I'll go into it, in the later aspect of this video. But right now I'm just playing 2 Evenly Matched. I just need 1 more copy. So now we're getting into the extra deck. As you can see, I have this beautiful MERMAIL Abyss Megalo Field Center that one of my team members, Kyle, actually got me. So I'm very, very excited about this. This thing is awesome. But now we're getting into the extra deck. We're going to start off with the links. We have double Miss Starboy. Obviously, everybody knows what Miss Starboy does. 500 attack and defense boost for waters. 400 attack and defense decrease for fires, and on top of that, when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, it can add something that's water back from grave to hand, which is very, very relevant. After that, we're playing 1 Firewall Dragon. I felt that Firewall Dragon is still a really decent card, especially with the Firewall combo. Granted, the Firewall combo is not as good as it used to be, but you can still set up a double co-linked Firewall and bounce 1 card your opponent controls, and then to be, cheeky, you can bounce back a Dragoons or a Teus or, whatever would mold, very advantageous combo strings in future turns. Firewall, in my opinion, is still a decent card. After that, I am playing Borlo Dragon. Borlo Dragon came up once, and it was really, really good in my first matchup, which was Pendulum Magician. I was able to take my opponent's face down Purple Poison. attacking into this and keep myself from destroying things on my board, because I had a very, very crazy board turn 1. It was amazing. But after that, I'm playing 1 Proxy Dragon for the Link 2, and then 1 Link Spider, because I am playing the Galaxy Tomahawk, which you will see in a moment. Honestly, this lineup for Links is pretty cool. I was testing the Saryuja on the Skull Dread, but I didn't really like it, just because there weren't too many scenarios in which I would get 4 different monsters on the field that I wanted to make Saryuja with. It just wasn't as relevant, and I tested it extensively, and I just didn't like it. So now we're moving on to the XCs. I'm playing 1 Abyss Gaios, the LT, 1 number 42 Galaxy Tomahawk for the Firewall play. That's it for the rank 7s. After that, for the rank 4s, I'm playing 1 Abyss Dweller and 1 Bahamut Shark, and then I'm playing Double Toad. 1 Toad for the Bahamut Shark and 1 Toad for the Frogs. So that's it for the XCs, and now for the Synchros. Only 3. 1 Coral Dragon, 1 Armory Arm, and 1 Herald. I know that this is, exponentially different from what I normally play. Normally I play, Tatsunoko and Herald. Herald is consistent. Normally I play Tatsunoko, Brio, Trish, Leo, things like that. Even a Cypher Mode Omega, could have potentially made its way in here. But I feel like the final draft of this deck, I'm trying to go second mostly. So these 2 cards are pretty relevant, because Armored Arm facilitates ridiculous OTKs. Like, if this is attached to a Megalo that can attack twice with the equip spell with a Star Boy increase, it's just damage upon damage upon damage. It's just ridiculous. The Coral Dragon is nice because it's a water, so I can link with it. And on top of that, when I do link with it, I also draw a card, and it's removal. So if I ditch like a Dragoons, I get a Search, or if I ditch a Prince, I get an Atlantean summon. The Coral Dragon is really good. And then the Herald of the Arclight is honestly one of my favorite cards. It's actually really, really clutch in the extra deck, because I can make this very, very simply with the Diva. And usually how it's come up recently is that what I'll do is, in the turn that I'm about to OTK someone with like a Megalo on board and I have the Diva, as long as they don't have any responses to my Diva, I can make this and then swing in for an OTK with Megalo. So that's it for the extra deck. And now for the side deck. The side deck I feel like needed the most work. However, I mean, I am not really ashamed of what my side deck is now. I just feel like I kind of miscalculated what was going to be played at my locals. Because this was more geared towards going to the meta, or going to the regional, which was probably mostly going to be meta. And even then, I felt like the side deck could use a little work. However, I'll just get into it. So I'm playing the Gamma, just because I feel like Gamma is really, really good. The fact that Effect Veiler, doesn't destroy the card, in my opinion, isn't that great, because I'm trying to clear cards off my opponent's field and OTK going second. So just being able to negate and destroy is really good, and I just really like the versatility of Gamma, because if I do it during my turn, which actually does happen, I had somebody try and ash my 1-for-1, and I had the Gamma in hand, so I ashed their Gamma and then got the Gamma their Ash, sorry. I Gamma their Ash Blossom, and then I got the 1-for-1 play, and on top of that, I was just able to OTK right through that. So, honestly, that's pretty good. Next, I played 3 Artifact Lancia. Honestly, I didn't really see a need for this too much. I mean, this, I didn't play against anything like Lightsworns or anything. I mean, there were Lightsworn players. In fact, Connor was even at the tournament, and he was playing his Lightsworns. But I just did not feel the need for this. So I think I may consider cutting this. The main reason why I cited it is for Lightsworns and for evenly matched. Moving on, 2 Ghost Ogres. I actually regret not playing the 3rd. I would consider, honestly, cutting the 3 Lancia for 2 other cards and then the 3rd Ogre, more than likely. I just feel like this is, not as optimal as it could have been. I do have a 3rd Ogre, I just chose not to play it. I felt like, even though this is great against the Pendulum Magician matchup, it's, not everybody's playing Pendulum Magicians at locals. People are playing Rogue, and, Ghost Ogre is good against most things, but, Ash Blossom is good against Rogue. But, however, I mean, both the matches that I won, I went X2, by the way, so I went 2-2 in 4 rounds of Swiss. Both the rounds that I won were both Pendulum Magicians, and the other ones were actually different matchups. But, moving on, I cited the 1 Game of Seal, like I said. I'm definitely going to bump this up. I did not like citing just one of this because having multiples of this actually could have helped. I just felt that, you know, the only deck that I'm really trying to kaiju over necessarily, because of the fact that like there's no other way to get over a certain card, is True Dracos. However, that was not the case. If I would have had a kaiju to kaiju over my opponent's Ultimate Conductor Tyrannos, that probably would have been beneficial to me. So now for the 2 spells I just sided 2 Galaxy Cyclone, or Cosmic Cyclone rather. I'm thinking I'm going to bump this up to 3, and then I sided the standard 3-dimensional barrier because it's really good against pendulums, it's really good against ABCs, it's really good against Toad. This card is the nuts. So that's it for the profile. Now, moving on to my matchups. My first match was Pendulum Magician. I went to game 3 with, he was actually featured on the channel, TJ Nowak, with his Pendulum Magicians. He changed his build up quite a bit, and him and I played the first round, and I managed to pull out the win. I was very, very lucky. You know, I wouldn't say necessarily that I outplayed him, but I definitely was able to manage my resources in a way that I could try and play around his Pendulum Magicians. Plus, game 3 I had the D barrier, and game 3 I just absolutely set up a crazy board with like Toad and Moulin and all that stuff, and I was just able to OTK right through everything. Plus I had the Borreload, like I said, to snatch his purple poison, his face down purple poison that he was going to use to probably disrupt my field. I snatched his purple poison with the Borreload and attacked right through it. Also, my second matchup was it was Dinos. Honestly, that matchup, that's probably one of my hardest matchups. I just couldn't beat over his Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is why I regret not playing the multiple kaiju. I'm considering even bumping like the kaiju engine into the side deck, or maybe even into the main deck, so that I can literally just tribute over oppressive monsters like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, you know, cards that apply pressure. Because as good as Mermails are at applying pressure, when pressure is applied to them, they can crumble depending upon the resources they have, and Gamma Seal I feel like is the ultimate mitigator to that problem. The issue is I chose not to play the Gamma Seal because I didn't expect to see too many dinosaur players at locals. Most people right now are playing Lightsworns in my area, Lightsworns or ABCs or Pendulum Magicians. But I honestly should have forecasted that dinos would be in the area. So I lost that matchup. My third matchup was Psy-Frames. Honestly, Psy-Frames were probably my hardest matchup because I just couldn't do anything. They literally, and it was like pure Psy-Frames. It wasn't like a Psy-Frame Yosenju build or anything like that. It was literally just pure Psy-Frames. And I honestly, I feel like I kind of played incorrectly in that matchup, because when I would make plays, he would just obviously he would negate everything, but I figured I had enough resources to kind of play through it, and anytime I got to the end phase of my turn, I realized, no, I don't have that. And on top of that, the fact that their trap card can banish cards that I control face down definitely hindered me quite a bit. I mean, in the first game, in game 1 in that matchup, I was able to rip cards from his hand and set up a Toad, but he was able to play right through it. Well, I mean, he was able to force me to play into his hand, essentially. And then game 2, he just negated everything I did. So that was my third matchup, and now on to my fourth matchup. It was another Pendulum Magician player, a good friend of mine, Nick Cordua, really, really good guy, really awesome dude. Very, very good player, honestly. I just feel like he kind of didn't draw the best hands. That being said, he brought me to game 3 as well, and I was able to OTK in game 3. Game 1, I believe, he won. Game 2, I won, and game 3, I won. That being said, honestly, the D barrier definitely helped. It was a good game. Honestly, I'm not too satisfied with the way this deck played. It just kind of just didn't feel as advantageous as it did when Norden was around. And on top of that, I just feel like some of my card choices could have been better, namely the Abyss Turge. I feel like if I had a more disruptive card for the Abyss Turge, or over the Abyss Turge, the deck probably would have done just a little better. And I know that, it's a 1-card difference. However, that 1-card difference can definitely, depending upon the card choice, could have been a lot different in regards to results. However, a card that I've honestly been considering for the main deck is a card that some of my players have played before, and I'm thinking Dragon Ice. The reason why I would play Dragon Ice is because this card, when it's in the graveyard, if my opponent special summons a monster, I discard a water monster from my hand to the graveyard as cost. Actually, no, 1 card. I just discard 1 card and then I special summon this card from my hand to graveyard. So actually, this could even be from my hand. So essentially, if my opponent's going first, and this is in my hand with a heavy infantry, I can disrupt my opponent's entire play with these. These are actually pretty legit. If I had to throw these in, I would probably take out the Turge, and I would honestly probably... see, I like the ratio that I have in regards to monsters relative to spells and traps, so I don't want to switch out any spells and traps for this. But I'd even consider cutting 1 copy of Gund, maybe, and just playing the 1 Gund and the 1 Pike. But I'm not really sure, because I do like playing multiple Gund, especially with the Dragon Eyes. Like, that could definitely disrupt fields. So I don't know. I mean, there's definitely ways to work around this. I might even consider cutting the Frog Engine and throwing in, 3 Ghost Ogres and then playing the Dragon Ice. There's just a lot of theory crafting that I'm trying to bring to this deck. However, I do feel like Dragon Ice is actually kind of a relevant tech choice. I know a lot of Mermail players used to play it back in the day to kind of disrupt their opponent's boards, but this is essentially, a hand trap in and of itself. Given you have the proper Atlantean in hand and your opponent special summons something, you can literally just ditch and disrupt their entire play. So honestly, I feel like this card could be really cool. But that was my Mermail deck profile and my tournament report, guys. I really appreciate your views, really appreciate your viewership. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any particular tech choices you think I should throw into this deck. Obviously, a third evenly match is definitely needed in my personal opinion. I feel like evenly matched is a really, really good card for playing against Rogue, especially more recent Rogue decks, or even a deck like Paleozoic or True Draco that sets a lot of back row, because if they can't respond with the back row, the evenly matched just completely mitigates everything in their back row. But like I said, guys, just let me know what you think in the comment section below. I appreciate any constructive criticism that you give us. We really appreciate all of it. It really helps. We want to definitely, increase viewership on this channel. So if you have any deck ideas or any matchup ideas you guys want to see, I would greatly appreciate you leaving your ideas in the comment section below. But as always, guys, Eric here with Team Eccentric, and I'm signing out. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and Team Eccentric out.